Hey, this is Kyle Carver from Strong Dads. Strong Dads podcast would love to thank the Crimers Beer House for coming alongside of us. The Crimers Beer House was started in 1982 by the Crimer family, and since that time, they have definitely become a Cincinnati favorite. So if you're looking for an incredible meal in an incredible setting, definitely go down to Route 128 and check out the Crimers Beer House. Hey guys, what's going on here? We're back doing another show here. We got Merle in the house. We got a special guest in the house. Merle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
The fall season is quickly or slowly, however you want to view it, is approaching. I'm excited.
I'm excited because I do like the change of the season, but I don't like what's coming after it. So I'm going to use every moment of these days to get out there and play and enjoy it.
I like it. So so like I said, we got special guests. We got Diesel in the house here.
Well, good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. So Diesel Derek. Right?
Yeah.
So last time you were on our show.
I called him Diesel because I was a little nervous sitting next to him.
Yeah, he's a bear. So Diesel, this is your second time on the show,
yes.
Right? And we had brought him back on the show because almost 2 years ago, October 25th, 2019, which I believe is episode 13. So you can go back and check that show out. We had him on as a guest, and at the time, you had been kind of on the tail end of an episode of adultery that had really kind of blew your marriage up.
Yep.
Things were pretty messy, but you were starting to get a little bit of traction for trying to figure out direction of your life. Mm-hmm. And so fast forward 2 years down the road, you and I connected and said, let's do an update. Let's see what's going on.
Exactly.
Right? So 2 years have passed, and I think part of the purpose here is to really understand what it takes to grow through stuff like this, right? It's not like you wake up one day and everything's back to being fixed and perfect and healed.
It doesn't?
Well, you're going to tell us.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, Diesel, thanks for being on the show today with Strong Dads.
Appreciate it. Thank you. No, this is exciting. It definitely is. Going back, 2 years, it didn't seem like it was 2 years. It really didn't. I was like, oh, it just literally popped in my head.
We don't count really 2020 because it was COVID year.
Right.
So really
nobody counts that year at all.
A lot has happened in the world in 2 years. Obviously, yes. We'll get into your story. But, yes, the world has flipped upside down in the last 2 years. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess just a real big kickback, I guess, from what I've been doing the last 2 years is the biggest thing is one of the things I actually really appreciate myself is being unapologetically Diesel for this sake.
Right.
If I want to do something, I've always said all right, why am I apologizing for this?
Right. Being more confident in who you are.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I noticed from 2 years ago. Quick recap is, hey, Merle, is that okay? Is that okay? Is this okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just doing it over and over again. And it took somebody who is, I would say, not only my manager, my mentor, best friend, but older brother that I've been searching for my entire life, legitimately, an older brother figure is now within an arm's reach, phone call reach, know where he's at all times type deal. And he was like, David, why do you keep asking for approval? I was like, oh. I didn't even realize I was doing this. And that was one of the things I love about myself is hey, all right, if I screw up, I'm sorry. But I'm not going to say sorry for no reason.
That reminds me of us making coffee this morning.
Yeah.
That reminds me of us making coffee. So, I'm making some coffee for these guys before we get ready to start recording. And Diesel's like, you want anything in there? No, straight up black. And then they look at me like, what are you going to put in yours?
I can't believe you put stuff in your coffee.
Little foo-foo drink. And I said, you know what? I'm a freaking man. I don't need to ask for your permission if I want a little hazelnut in my coffee, all right? But there's confidence in saying, I don't really care what you think, right?
Yeah.
There's confidence in terms of our growth. And because it really is not a make or break. It's not a salvation issue, right? Like whether I do this or not. So I don't need to ask for anybody's permission. And part of being a man is it's your problem if you're the one that's really fretting over it. It's not mine if I put a little hazelnut in my coffee. So again, I don't want to simplify, but there's freedom in what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And that was one of the things that, I always, before, like I had my small little friend group, and now it's got even smaller for a good reason, because if something happens, I'm like, hey, what is this? What do you see that's differently? And I always want to bounce ideas. And, I always like to, pat myself on the back for being a good conspiracy theorist. Not in so much of like believing whatever crazy story is, but like in anything, like, all right, I have a belief in my head that's strong, either over my mind or I'm going to realize that you're just full of, and I don't want anything to do with it. And that's how I take anybody who's talking to me, like, do you have good values? Do you have these values that you can, instill in me? Can I learn from you? Can I pass them along, whatever the case is? And if it's not, I'm like, see ya.
Right.
Nice to you.
Yeah, it's not that I can't be friendly. I just don't want to be any kind of a close friend.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, Diesel, let's talk a little about what was going on 2 years ago and now where you are. Okay, so you have 2 boys. Life has happened, and I see when I work with men like this, I see a variety of different ways that guys go. Sometimes they come out of relationships and they instantly get right back into another relationship because they're missing the security of a relationship or sex or just good conversation. Sometimes we see guys just up and move, go to a whole different part of the country to start fresh. So what has your walk been to try to maintain your fatherhood that you are, but also your personhood in Christ?
So not dating anybody. Just got out of a relationship, to answer that question you said. Love my boys. Their birthdays are coming up here in this month. They'll be 4 and 3.
Okay.
I asked the oldest one, what do you want for your birthday? He was like, I want a jump rope. I'm like, what? You want a jump rope? Well, you got hops like me. You did not get off the ground. You did not get off the ground. The youngest one wanted a bike. I was like, more like it. The youngest one definitely is my little mini me. Maury wouldn't even open up the envelope if they had a lie detector test or a paternity test on him. He looks dead on me.
Poor kid.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. The oldest one is the pretty boy.
Yeah.
But no, my walk with God essentially is, it's definitely been growing with more intentionality, not so much of, God, I need your help real bad right now. It's not out of desperation. It's like very intentful before I even get to work. It's a blessing in disguise. I make my own schedule, but at the same time, I make a point like, hey, if I'm driving here, even the way here is like, hey, talk to me. I'm turning everything off. I'm driving. I'm sitting down. I'm meditating for that 10, 15 minutes. And I think that has been able to really be able to, for me to connect with who God has want me to be, allow me to have the vision of the end mark. I think that little gap in between where I've always thought I've missed something is something where like I'm searching, like, why am I missing this middle? But I can see the end. I can start at the beginning, but I can't really. I need that middle part. But no, the relationship with God is always rough, and I've made it more rough because I don't want to listen. That's just me being honest with everybody. But I know at the end of the day, I always pray, always look at everything in the morning. The Bible verse of the day was, I pretty much have faith. You can't see the things. Have faith, even the things you can't see.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So that kind of makes me think about the idea of when we're going through difficult times, like when the hurricane comes or the tornado comes, there's one mode of emergency response, right? It's game on, it's full attention, you're just trying to do damage control. Mm-hmm. So you are past damage control.
Yep.
And now you're in reclaiming. Mm-hmm. And in rebuilding. Mm-hmm. So your mind's able to slow down a little bit and be more purposeful on each step that you're going to do. What's that look like for you versus 2 years ago when you were just like, got to make sure the kids have a place, got to make sure I have a place, got to make sure everything's put together?
I guess one of the things, there's so many big things. I'll keep big things that I've learned because in the last 2 years, a lot has really changed. Mm-hmm. Whether people see it or not, I really don't care. I know the difference. Mm-hmm. And one of those is being patient. As you've said before to me, like, hey, you can't just start out on the field. Like as a freshman playing football or wherever, like you can't just start at varsity. obviously if you're a stud, that happens, but we're just talking figuratively. You got to wait till you're junior, senior to be playing because there's that many good players, right?
Right.
And it's kind of like taking that backseat and really not paying attention to the problem that needs to be solved. It was just like, all right, here is becoming black and white has really helped me. All right, this is what I need to do to get to X. These are the problems that I can't solve them right now. I don't have this. I don't have that. I need to wait on these problems. Now let me go after this goal. Let me just go after this goal and just keep going and keep going and keep going. And really, if it doesn't have anything to do with the goal, doesn't have anything to do with life urgency, like now, like threat level 5 or 6, whatever level they are, it's just the goal. Just going to work. It's doing X, Y, and Z. So I'm doing the work and heading the goal is definitely not something that I would be the one to talk about. There's a lot of other people who can do that more efficiently than I can, but that's my goal. That's my purpose. That's like making sure I am doing the right things, which has allowed me to really uncover why I did what I did 2.5 years ago is through work.
Yeah.
So you were kind of, some of what I'm hearing you talk about, Derek, was the idea of a vision and kind of instilling it and kind of having that vision for your life, and God obviously being a major part of that. As we rewind to our show, 2 years ago, when you came on the show, you're coming on the back end of an affair that you had. When do you really feel like God started to put that vision in your life to get to, obviously, like you said, you can't go run a marathon the first day. You got to build up to it. So where does that vision kind of come into place? Fast forward to today.
Doing this podcast is part of that vision. And part of like my mission board is to create a fee legacy.
Sure. We'll
cut that name out there. Fee legacy for not only my boys. That way it's kind of like with any dads around here, like kind of like a snowball effect of divorce, not knowing what they are, and the small kids that people that I'm around, I see the same things that I've gone through or currently going through. Yeah. And it's that snowball effect, and if I can stop the snowball from going down, I have won. Now that's what I have, my idea is like, hey, my boys can continue that, push that forward, and then their kids and the people around them, and then it can just grow. It's not something that will not happen immediately, but that's why, like, hey, I come on to these things because I appreciate them. I love them. It's a part of the purpose of, hey, stopping the snowball from going downhill or stopping the puck and kind of, all right, now everybody else together can push this forward. Yeah. I can't do this. I can just slow it down or stop it.
Well, before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about some things you're up to, and you talked about coaching and how eye-opening that has been for you, okay? And I had brought up the point, and I think this is not to shortchange where guys are in their growth in life or their place in life, but when you're 25 and 30 years old, you will have a certain perspective, and you will think it's all that, right? You will think it's like, yeah, like I'm solid, like there's nothing I'm doing that's wrong. But all of a sudden, you will coach or have a relationship with somebody in a different time frame. Tell me about these freshmen that you're coaching right now that are making your eyes pop. Like, was I like that?
It's not so much like I know I was not like that. And one of the things he's alluding to is the will to win. Like, how do you not know? I guess it's something that I can't teach. I don't know if anybody can teach it. I think if there was a way, it'd have to be simply, all right, get these small victories. You have to keep going. And like, loving the process, loving the grind to be there, and then that's how you can create a will to win. I don't know, but it all starts with like taking your helmet off when you take a drink, like then put it back on. Like, what are you taking it off for? What are you putting it on? Like, that helmet never left my hand at all. Like, I don't know what these kids are doing. Like, it's just not. I'm like, no. And it's just like the first quarter, these second quarter, like these guys just like, oop, I'm done today. I'm like, what do you mean you're done today? We still got 2 more quarters left. Are you guys going to accept the beating?
Right.
Like, as I'm talking about this now, I was like, wait a minute. Like, maybe these guys have just accepted this beating this entire time, figuratively, not physically, right? That they don't know any better. But I'm like, but there is on the other side. And it's kind of like a little bit of whether it's rather a refresher for me or current mode that I'm in as I'm talking like right now is I'm tired of getting beat. I can win. Like I've said before, like belief in self, accepting responsibility. Okay, I screwed up.
Let's do the work. Well, let me come back on that a little bit, because you are starting to experience something that I want every strong dad out there who's listening, especially you young strong dads. I did not have my eye opening about fatherhood and the purpose of it really until I was in my early to mid 30s and I started working in an elementary school. Okay? And I started working in elementary school and started seeing things kind of like what you're talking about. I had coached all the way up through those days.
You were one of my coaches.
Yeah, I had coached all these different kind of sports. But each year I was noticing something a little bit different. When I say each year, just progressively noticing this lack of drive, the will to win, getting through a difficult situation. And I started to connect the dots to fatherhood. You said, I don't know if you can teach this kid about winning. I will tell you, absolutely you can. But it starts with the father. So one of the challenges that you guys are going to see, and that I saw, and is the reason why Strong Dads and Rock Solid Families comes about, is because, holy cow, these kids came, even if they have a father in the house, if they're in a divorce situation where the dad is only there on the weekends or every other week I get to see him, he is not in a position to day in and day out teach what it is to grind, teach what it is to be disciplined, teach what a win is and a loss and how to handle it. And so the net product is often what you see. Not always. There's an exception to every rule, and I love that exception. But so often you see these kids have no fortitude to them. Because, when things were a little rough, they could just roll over and lay in bed a little longer or play video games a little longer. And so you are seeing that it's not that they don't like the game, they like football. But can we just play a quarter of it? Because I'm tired after a quarter, and I just want to go sit. And so this is where our conversation about dads, this is where you dig in. I challenged you earlier, start checking out what their dad situation is, your players. Yeah. And even if they're in a divorce situation, well, they've got a dad home. That divorce situation, if not done well, will lead to the type of kids that you're struggling with right now. Yeah. If I'm doing a dad and I only have him every other weekend or once in a while, all of that is on mom to create that kind of drive and that perseverance. And listen, that's not how God wired her, right? That's not her. That doesn't mean that a mom can't teach a kid to be competitive. We've seen that. That can happen. But this is where we are called to teach men how to be men. And you're seeing it, and I love it. I love it because you're ready to pull your hair out. And that's either going to make you dig in deeper to these guys and become a dad-like figure. Come on, boys. Yep. Let's go. Step it up. You can do this. Or, you're all worthless. Get out of my sight.
Yeah, I can't just do that. Like, even with my work schedule, I have the flexibility, but like if I'm not working, I'm not making any money. And this is God's purpose for me to go do after I've shared with you guys a few different ways. It's like, no, I made a commitment. Like, I remind myself, like, yeah, I could just quit. But at the same time, like, no, I made this commitment to these boys. Yeah. How am I, from what I already have done so far, I'm just going and being just like a typical dad, father that would just way by the wayside. Right. But it's funny. I have a question for you now. Yeah. So I don't know if you know this, but he was the only one. It was probably the second or third grade that you pulled me in your office.
I don't remember. I mean, now I'm hesitant to hear the rest of this story.
No. It's good because like he was the only person that ever made me cry at school. Like, for whatever reason. He didn't make fun of me. He was, like, giving me, like, hey, get your shit together.
Yeah. I did not say that in an elementary school.
Yes, he did.
I did
Essentially, he was like, well, you knew my dad. Like, you knew I could handle it. Yeah. You're like, hey, you just didn't say the word.
Right.
Alluded to it. Yep. So, yeah, you were the only one who'd ever made me cry during school. And it was a good conversation because I came home, I got my crap together. Period. I remember that. Yeah. Hands down. I think I was acting up. I think it was in third grade. I was just being a little turd, whatever it was. Right?
I actually do kind of remember that as you're talking because, You have had and have today a ton of personality. You were a strong presence in the classroom, and you had that opportunity to lead kids. And you could either lead in a good way or not so good. And because I had known you a little bit through your dad and football and stuff like that, I just called you and said, hey, I need more out of you. Yeah. I need more. And you at least respected enough to say, oh, this guy's seeing something. Yeah. And again, that's what we have to do, right? Like, I knew that the tears were good in that place. Yeah. Right? It wasn't a beat down, it was a pull out.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciated it 100%. Yeah. Wish I would have had a lot more of those, by all means.
Right. But not in the moment. No fun in the moment.
I mean, it's never fun in the moment. It's always afterwards, like, all right, are you going to do something about it, or are we going to sit here and do nothing?
Yeah.
Which is such a, I mean, man, we talk about this all the time. Just the idea that part of the reason why we are currently in society, the condition we're in with the absence of dad, is it is so easy to give up. Like that's the easy road, right? Just like those freshman guys. Like, man, it is so easy to just be like, all right, I'm going to check out for a quarter. And, man, God is calling us every day to be in the grind, to keep the helmet on there. Let's get dirty, And the problem is we have a lot of dads who are not doing that. And Merle, when you were talking about, the divorce situation and the dads, have the kids every once in a while, man, if that is you, I would just call you out, man. Like, take those moments that you do have and make the most of it. Like, let's instill that in the next generation. We talk all the time about the generational effects of a dad being involved. Man, if you are in a divorce situation, which I'd imagine based off statistics would show us that divorce situations are very evident.
50% of you are.
Exactly. And man, if that is you and you do only have your kids every once in a while and you do, again, not ideal, but let's make the most of it. Let's not just throw our hands up and be like, all right, well, I'm going to take my helmet off for this quarter. I'm going to kind of check out. Like, man, let's get in there. Let's get dirty with our kids. Let's instill those winning values, the values of being involved, being in the grind to the very end. Talk about your vision, instilling that vision in our kids, man. I think the generational effect that's going to have is going to be huge.
Yeah, the perseverance. So this conversation is kind of leading into now you as a dad, right? And that is a primary role that you have. And we have to understand this is something that I see men fall short on all the time. They go through these divorce situations, especially if they have little kids. They're not as good at the nurturing side of things. Mommy does a better job at that. Mommy makes sure that they're clean and they got the diapers changed and they're being fed well. I'm not really that good at it. And so I quickly just resolved to the idea that I'll just see the kids on weekends. Guys, I will tell you, I'm going to challenge you. That's not where you want to be. Mm-hmm. All right? If you're in that divorce situation, listen, that sucks, and that is what it is. All right? And Derek, you know that I have talked with you always about, like, okay, is there any possibility that the old relationship can have life? Okay, and there's varieties of reasons for that. But as we go in to be dads, I'm going to ask every dad out there to pursue 50-50 work, all right? Mm-hmm. And you will see that you are going to be really uncomfortable. You're going to be really uncomfortable. And the reason why you're going to be uncomfortable is because it's that hard to be in your kid's life for the daily stuff, like getting them up for school, like doing homework, like doing baths, all that stuff that's not fun. And men quickly go, you know what, I'll just take them on the weekends. That's not where parenting takes place. Yeah. That's not where you teach your kids to dig into the grind and to get in there and to get heavy. You got to be in and day out. Mm-hmm. And so the 50%, and that's why I always advocate for dads living in the same school district as mom so that we keep the same schools. Listen, the kids didn't ask for this. Yeah. All right, so that means if they're with you on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're driving them to school or busing them to school, whatever that looks like, and then mom does it. And quickly, this is the coolest part. What quickly happens is mom and dad get pretty quickly aligned on the same page. Yeah. because they're dealing with the same type of experiences. Both of them have to deal with meals. Both of them have to do homework. So they're not like daddy's play toy every other weekend. And so daddy doesn't have any rules, or daddy doesn't enforce this, or daddy buys the kids phones and all this silly stuff. So now the exception to this is if I got a knucklehead dad who's lazy and who does not want to do his job, then you know what? If you're that kind of dad, then fine, you deserve what you get. But the kids do not deserve that, right? And that's our draw out here. Like, divorces are ugly, but what are you going to do to continue to be the father and to embrace, like, even the things that are not fun? You got to figure them out. What about daycare? Yeah, I know. You got to pay for daycare now too, right? You got to do both sides. Well, you don't understand. No, I do. We're raising kids. You're raising kids here. And those freshmen that you're dealing with right now, I will challenge you to go back and look at their dad situations.
I've already looked at some of them.
Yeah, and you'll be like, holy cow.
Yeah. No, it's just something to remember. Like, I went about a year and a half, almost 2 years without seeing my boys almost on a regular basis. And every day I hated it. Now, what I did before was the wrong thing to do, is I sulked. I sulked the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, woe is me, I'm the victim. And I never really said like I was a victim. I took blame for it, but like, it was just really, I just sulked. It was the best word to use it for. I did that. And I took I did that for 3 years of sulking. I was like, this past year have had more growth, and it's not easy. Like, there's still a lot more, and it's like small little wins here to here versus like a big mainstream. Like, oh, I keep going up. It's it's little bits and pieces here, kind of like a jack of all trade. Like, well, I don't want to be a jack of all trade. I want to be one solid stream of great at one big thing, and whatever that thing is, right? But I will have a lot of small little victories. I want a big major victory, but I just need to focus on it. And you will regret it if you don't change those diapers. I promise you. You will regret it, but at the same time, you have a choice. You can change it right now, or you can wait till later. That's up to you, but it's going to be on you.
So where are you at now with everything? Obviously, again, we really encourage everyone to go back and listen to that show that 2 years ago when you came on. Fast forward to today, where are you at as far as with the dad situation, with as far as your whole situation? Where do you find yourself?
I'll put it this way. All those vulnerable moments. Yeah, I was one of those dads who I was like, I had no idea. I was fine with changing diapers. I had no idea. It was more of like, hey, quit taking all the tissues out of the box, quit taking the wipes out, those things. Or like those moments where, that you make a turn too fast and they puke everywhere. Are you prepared for that, dads? Yeah. I'm not joking. Like, it is a very vulnerable moment. And funny story, one of my, the guy who was my mentor and brother and all that kind of stuff, manager, he's like, Derek, something's going on. I was like, what's going on? He was nearby in this area. He's like, my daughter just threw up everywhere. What do I need to do? And I was like, all right, so first calm down. I've done this before, so have somebody to call to when these things happen, because it's going to feel embarrassing. You're going to hate it. You're going to just want to give up. But I promise you, just call somebody. They're going to laugh at you, and then we're going to walk through. I ended up going there. He grabs this blue shampoo, which I just told him blue shampoo because I just had body wash in my car. I didn't have wipes. I wasn't prepared at all. But like, at the end of the day, my son is still fine.
Right,
he's alive.
Yeah, he survived.
His daughter was still alive. There's nothing wrong. We ended up giving her a bath in this grocery store bathroom. But like, it's fine. It's not nothing. At the end of the day, it's just throw up, and it's just a learning experience. But where am I at when it comes to my boys? The divorce is final. I have 50-50 time with them on paper, but I have to give that up for work. So I'm like, all right, I can go get them at certain times when I want to, which is great. I do respect their mother as a mother. She's a great mom. I've never talked bad about her as a mother. She's great for my boys. She's taught them so much. And plus, if you actually take responsibility of what you do as like whatever reason, like the marriage failed, whatever, like you're like, hey, when you actually do the grinding, the diaper changing, the taking to bed, like you appreciate the other side, the other person who's doing it. So I do respect her. I appreciate everything she does with the boys. Definitely wish she wouldn't teach the boys that dirt is yucky, but at the end of the day, I appreciate it because now I don't have to clean up the shoes and all the other stuff, right? But no, the boys are great. I love them. I think one of the shining moments is very small. But I have never shaved my face. I've shaved my face like 3 times the last 4 years. I lost a bet and I had to shave, and I was like, man, I don't know if they're going to recognize who I am because they've never seen me without facial hair. And one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen is literally both boys, the door almost hit them as they were running out to see me. I was like, this is beautiful. Like I don't need anything else. And that was like the day I actually like, hey, I am good enough to accept my kids' love. They do love me. They don't. They just want me to love them back.
Yep.
Right.
Like, and that's all they want. I'm like, this is kind of easy.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah. That's cool stuff. So I want to ask you about the healing process and moving forward with future relationships. Okay. There are some studies out there and some research that talk about when we start to move out of the divorce and that situation. I talked earlier about many men and women actually jump right back into a rebounder, right? Just get right into another relationship. And the research shows that it takes actually about 3 years to heal, okay? And I was working with another gentleman, and he was like, 3 years? Like, he's only about a year or so into it, and he's like I want to go, like, right now, you know? And we actually broke down, like, well, it's about 3 years, but really don't put a time frame on it. You have to heal. Yeah. So how long does the healing take?
Yeah.
Right? And so healing is involving all these other things that you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. So the healing of being solid in who I am, being solid in knowing who I want next to be in relationship, being solid with who I'm going to introduce to my boys, right? So where are you at in the healing process and the idea of introducing your boys to another significant person?
Well, I have yet to introduce them to anybody because, like, some people said, like, well, they're only 3 and 4 years old. They're not going to really remember. Like, true. Like, if I need like somebody to help watch my kids or whatever the case is, fine. Like, it's not going to be a consistent thing because I don't know how you are with your kids. I don't know what you believe in. What morals do we have? Like, if we haven't had that conversation, then we're not seeing my boys. I don't know, you know.
Right.
I think you might be a good person, but I need to dig into more about what they do. Yep. But are you asking me for dating advice? Not for you.
No, not for me. I'm talking about how do you know when you are at a certain level of healing so that you can start to think, okay, like, I'm going to date somebody. And yeah, I'm going to date them, and I'm going to bring them more deeply into my life, my kids' life. Okay, so because you did go on a couple of dates, but you haven't brought those people into your boy's life.
Correct.
Okay, so how, you know, where was the fumble in those other relationships that you said, oh no, this one's not good. I'm not quite ready for this. I'm not healed there yet.
You want a funny one?
Sure, man. Yeah.
Cried on the second date. And like, it was nothing that was serious at all in my head. I was like, yeah, no, this is not going to work. I'm not an emotional guy in a sense.
You just start crying?
No, I wasn't crying.
Oh, she was crying.
She was crying. I was not.
She wanted to go home. She was scared. Mommy, rescue me.
I guess so. Really, that's kind of like the sense. It was a silly question. I don't know why. She's like, you know what a 28-year-old thinks of, the society thinks of a 20-year-old woman who's never had any kids and married? I was like, who? I was like, I don't care at all what society thinks. So you're talking to the wrong person. I had no sympathy, and I'm very genuine with everything I do. Like, so if I can't give you those tears back of sympathy, then you're not going to get them because that's fake.
Right, yeah.
That's fake.
So she kind of wanted you to feel bad for her, and you were not able to give that.
No,
yeah.
I was not. I was not going to or willing to.
Right.
I don't care about society.
Okay, so you knew that, okay, this is not quite the right person. And
yes. Yeah. You know, the second one is one of the things I learned, because I was seeing somebody for about 6 months, I think I told you about, is when push comes to shove, how do they handle stress? Like, you know, I'm a big person that says, hey, I don't want, everybody has baggage. We all have it.
Right.
I don't need to know about yours right off the get-go. Let me see who you are. Let me see your fun side. And then I can eat. If your fun side is bigger than your baggage that you currently had, do you still have this baggage? Are you still working on getting rid of it? Fine. Are you making steps to make yourself better? And that's a big thing. Like, all right, we all have it. So where are you at now? how are we getting better? Because I'm a fixer and I want to keep fixing things. So I have to like pull myself and accept for who they are, but are they continually making those strides to be better themselves? Because if that's the case, like I'm in the same boat with you. We're going to go in the same direction together, right? But if you're not, I'm like, all right, what are we doing here? Come on. Like right. I will try to push you, and that's not my job. That is your job personally to grow yourself. I can be a leader or an example, but I cannot make you do something you want to do. You don't want to do.
Right. I'm thinking about the attractiveness, the importance of attraction. Attraction is extremely important.
Of course.
Because it helps us to persevere when we have these baggage things like, okay, well, listen, how much work am I willing to put in is the attraction. And when I say attraction, not just physical attraction,
mentally,
right? There's all kinds of different levels of attraction. I'm so attracted to this person that I'm willing to put in the time to go through carrying the baggage and helping them with the baggage. Right?
Yeah, 100%. That was one of the things that, it's not easy telling somebody like, hey, I cheated on my wife multiple times.
Right.
All this stuff. Like, it's not easy saying it. It gets easier because I really just don't care. Like, I get it.
Like, right.
Like, if you don't want to understand, like, that's completely fine. I agree. I can see why you don't want to be with somebody with that. All right, well, then have a great day.
Right.
We can be friends. We can do whatever, but that's it. Like, if you don't want a romantic relationship, we're good. That's fine. It's not say to anybody or dig at anybody else. Like, I get it.
Yeah. So when you start to date someone, you said, I first want to be able to have fun with them and that kind of thing, and then figure out the baggage part later. Do you reveal pretty quickly what happened with your...
No.
So you don't?
I think so. Some people call it half-truths. Some people say, what I tell them is the truth. Like, I got married too early. I didn't know who I was. Things just didn't work out. And we kind of parted ways and we're civil, which is all completely the truth. Nothing wrong with it. I think the last girl that I was dating, she first thing when we went on a first date, she was like, "Oh, so why did you and your ex break up? I know you're not the cheating type." And I was like, "That is a beautiful compliment." Like, and that's the thing. Like, I didn't even realize that I put that vibe out there or that type of personality. And the entire time that her and I were seeing each other, like, I was faithful. Like, I did not step out. I did not do anything. Like, I was committed to this girl. I tell them, like, hey, if we're in this, we're in this. We can do whatever we're together. We can do whatever we want. And I'm not going to control you. You're not going to control me. But when we're together, let's go.
Right. Well, it's a really difficult thing. It's like that whole idea of if from the very get-go she knows that you're not trustworthy, she's not going to want to pursue that relationship. So your actions have to really be
on point,
super strong, right? Like, you've got your character has to show that from the get-go. Otherwise, if it wavers even a little bit and she knows that you had a history of not being faithful, why would she even mess? Right,
and you got to have the wherewithal to say, like, hey, no, I'm going to have to be doing these things to prove that I am in a place. Right. She's going to be self-conscious. Like, that happens. You're going to have to be able to, I'm with my buddy here. Look, see, cheese.
Yeah.
Just be able to do it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If you're not doing anything wrong, then why can't you do it?
How important is it to find somebody now who is equally yoked in faith?
It's very. And I've always been a proponent, like, hey, this may be a bad thing. It's like, all right, I can help change. I can drop more stones into her pond, whatever it is. And I don't want to push. I want to be more of a followed by action, not so much followed by words, because I can say a lot of things, and that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
But if I show people certain things, it's undeniable because you can see it at that point.
Right.
So I would say it's very important. Like, where are you at? Like, what do you want to learn? 100%. I always ask those questions.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think I'll go back to the idea of, especially when we have kids involved, the importance of being equally yoked on faith, on family, on work, on time spent. All of these things are really important that we understand that we're connected together.
Yeah. You want to know something funny? This is very true. Every time If I ever go, so I'm in sales, so numbers matter. Like, all right, when I first started dating before, I would say I should have waited till about right now for me to start dating, but I didn't listen. I was dumb. I made the mistake. But before, I was like, all right, God, literally before any date, God, if you want me to meet this person, if this person's meant to be, have them show up for this date. A lot of people didn't show up for dates. I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of people did not show up to dates, and it works. Like, and some of them did. I was like, it was a great conversation, whether we worked or not. Like, it was great. It was for a reason, and it's just weird. I do it every time before.
So you get stood up now and then.
I laugh at it. I'm like, all right, God, here we go. That's fine.
It
makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. Derek, we're going to wind things down, okay? And so, what is your takeaway that you want to leave our strong dads out there in terms of guys who have gone through divorce or are going through divorce and moving forward from being in the fatherhood position and a person in general and just looking into the next relationships? What is a takeaway that you want to leave guys with?
Just one?
Well,
I can say a lot. That's the issue. That's what I'm working on, slimming things down. There was one thing. I would say this. Just create action. Just start doing things, whatever your goal is. Because if you don't have action, you aren't able to say if it's right or wrong. But if you have action, you can say yes or no. Okay, right, wrong. You can start building towards something, and never if you oh, should I do this or should I not? Well, obviously, then drinking and driving, flying down, should I do this or not? That's the dumb question. Don't ask those, right? Hey, should I make that extra effort to talk to my spouse, to my ex, whatever? To, hey, can I see the boys? Can I see my kids? Whatever the case is, do it. What are you afraid of? That's breaking things down to black and white has been such an amazing thing. Has allowed me to see things more clearly. Take the emotion out, because emotion just gets you in more problems most of the time. Not saying they're bad, but just
they have to be harnessed.
They do.
Right, they have to be harnessed.
But yeah, keep things black and white and always start creating action, no matter what you're doing. Just create action, fall, because you're going to end up being successful at one point.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think that the paralysis that people get when they make mistakes in life puts them on their heels. They sit back and no, I'm not doing that again, and it takes them out of action.
Yeah.
And I love what you just said. The only way I know whether something's working or not is if I actually do it. But then I have to be coachable in the sense of, well, that didn't work well. So what's a different route? So I think that's great advice. Be in the action mode all the time.
Yeah.
Being bold, man. That's I mean, that we were actually just talking about last time on small group, the idea of being bold because of the gospel. Because of how powerful the gospel is. Not don't be bold because the gospel's there, but be bold because that gospel is so powerful.
Right.
Could you imagine, now we're getting things started now. We should have just did this all over here. Hey, have the strength of a mustard seed to move mountains. Imagine yourself being able to move mountains.
Yeah.
Don't quit, whatever that small thing is you can't do. All right, that isn't anything. What is it? Try to break it down to, all right, I can't knock on this door. Well, why not? Oh, you're afraid of them saying no? You're afraid of, okay, you might have a gun pulled on you. All right, that's one thing, sure. But how often is that going to happen if you come with a friendly face? Never.
Right,
I do that,
right.
and it's never going to happen. And it just, I'm getting excited just thinking about it now.
Well, the first step is the hardest step on whatever we do, whether I'm going out for a run. We used to joke all the time in the swimming world. The hardest part of swim practice is diving in the water, because it's committed. I'm in the air now. There's no going back. And you got your body shocks from that water. You're and then all of a sudden 30 seconds into it, you're okay, let's do what we need to do. Yeah. So it's that first step, but boys get stuck and they don't take that first step. Yeah. And so men go, you know what? Yeah, it's worth it. Let's go.
So I have a question. I know we're going to prolong this. I told you I'm a talker, right? This is true. And I want your advice on this. So my dad never let me win on anything, which is fine. Because now when I beat him in certain things, there's so much victory in it. There's so much victory in it. But like my boys, we were just, we're both driving fire trucks. We're pushing them along. And of course, like it was just around like the living room. I just did it. I was like, I won. He balls his eyes out. I'm laughing because why are you crying? It's not that big of a deal. We do it again. I beat him. Like, all right. So it turns out I beat him. I was like, all right, Bradley, if you go this way, I can't beat you. He didn't want to listen. He cries and wants to give up. We make the turn around the couch and he just stops. I'm like, no, you need to finish it. Keep going. Come on. Then I was like, hey, I sat down and looked at him again. I was like, hey, you have to take this route or Dad's going to beat you every time. If you don't take that route, I'm going to win and I'm not going to stop.
Right.
When he finally took the route, I win. I'm like, oh, now I was just like, I should have told him. What do you do in those situations?
I never let my boys win on purpose.
Right.
So when they beat me legitimately. I always used it. I think it's how we win. I think we could be total jerks about it and nasty and act like a 3-year-old. But the idea that, you beat them, and this is where you find out how coachable your kids are. Because you see, my older one, I could beat him and say, just kind of like what you said, like, hey, if you do this, like, it's going to be hard for me to defend it, and he would go to it. My younger one would be like, I can't. I'd be like, no, you can, but I had to drive harder on him, but I wouldn't let him win. Once he start beating me, though, we had a show on the idea that he beat me to death in ping pong. Because I used to beat him, and then
one time he beat you.
Yeah, one time he beat me, man, and now there's no playing. He beats me all the time. So, but because it's really, you want them to learn that when they get beat, that it's not over. Yeah. Right? It says, no, you get back out here because now there's a learning process. Yeah. And I really, these guys who just think it's important to let their kids win all the time. I'm not saying occasionally, whatever, but that whole idea. No, I want my kid to know how to handle defeat. Defeat is where we learn.
Which is your story. You got defeated, right? You got knocked down. It was something that you did. You got defeated, but what message was that sent to your kids if you just, again, threw your hands up and I'm checked out?
I remind myself of that every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time. Every day.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you, there's no mercy for my older boys now with me. No. When we go mountain biking, whatever we do, Pops is getting dropped. Pops is getting hurt. They're not letting me win at all. So but I'm totally good with that. Yeah. Because I actually laugh. Like when they're out, we go mountain biking or something, and they're just killing me, and my heart is outside of my body beating, and I'm laughing like I love it. I love it because they're still testing me. But I've created guys who can go out and do it. Yeah. And so to me, like, it's still a win, even though I'm suffering. So, Derek, I thank you so much for coming in. I think part of what you show is life continues to go on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? Are you going to go and ride it and live it well, or are you going to sulk? Are you going to fall back? Are you going to be a person of regrets and anger and resentment in you? And you are not that guy. You have not put a lot of resentment in your bones. You have moved forward and looking for the bright side. And if that could be a takeaway that any guy gets, stop feeling sorry for yourself. You made some mistakes. Let's move on. Your kids deserve that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really do appreciate you coming back on the show. It's always good to do some follow-ups. We had AJ on our show, did a little follow-up with him. So it's always good to kind of revisit these stories because these are just real men doing real things, right? Yeah. And that's what the show is all about. Just hanging out with the guys, talking around the table. We always talk about the kitchen table at work, and that's where life change happens. And so it's always good to revisit those. So Derek, really do appreciate you coming back on our show.
Thank you.
Yep. Crimer's Beer House and Casey Outdoor Solutions. Thanks so much for coming alongside of us. We didn't really get a chance to thank him.
We're thanking him right now.
Yes, we're gonna definitely give him a big shout out. Let him know that Strong Dad sent you down there, and really do appreciate those guys. And I think we're good.
We're good. So go out there and be a strong dad. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.